Hey, welcome in Broncos country on a wild win versus the Indianapolis Colts. This is the Denver Bronco Roundup podcast. I'm going to be your host this evening. My name is Keith Brugman. Happy to be back. Happy to be back with the guy who held down the fort for me while I was gone, Mr. Trevor Salzman, one of the two, I should say, and also Mr. Jody Moncrief, who won't be joining us. But Trevor, welcome in, man. What a wild win, man.
Yeah, it was a wild win. You know, it was getting a little scary there for a minute, but no, team football at the end of the day, a win's a win. However you can take it. This Broncos team seemed like they have a pretty damn good chance of making back to the playoffs the first time in 8 years, eight seasons. So it's a great time to be a Broncos fan. I know it wasn't pretty. Short week with the Chargers coming up, but not how we wanted to draw it up, but a win's a win, regardless how you take it. Shout out to Jody as well for helping cover on Friday. I don't believe we were too far off with our score prediction. I think I had 28-17, and I don't remember what Jody's was. So if he'll be in here, he can pop that in here. What his score prediction was. But just shout out to Jody for Friday's show, and shout out to everybody that was amazing in our posse, blowing up the chat. We love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Tucson Phil coming in here saying wasn't pretty, but a win is a win. Ernie May is coming in here and saying my score was 30-13. The score is 31-13. Can't be any closer. Can't be any closer than that, Ernie. I don't know if everyone saw the way it was kind of went down. Graham was in here earlier and saying Knicks can't play like that in the playoffs. Scott said sloppy in the first half, but recovered. And Graham, we got to talk about this because we talk about game-changing moments that we have sometimes for the Denver Broncos. This was a game-changing moment in the game for the Denver Broncos, but not by the Denver Broncos. That Jonathan Taylor fumble at the goal line, man, that's going to live with him for a while, Trevor.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't understand why that's still an issue around the league. It seems like it's been an issue this year in a big way. What a game changing play that was for the Broncos, and they just got lucky with that one. And I think the defense responded though with that. I think it kind of in a weird way. I think you could say, wow, that was a big boost to the defense, maybe as far as, hey, we need to step up or this game is going to get out of control real quickly. So as much as, that JT, the Jonathan Taylor fumble, hurt the Colts, it benefited the Broncos, I think, in a big way. Jonathan Taylor still ended up rushing for over 100 yards. So it wasn't a perfect performance from the defense, but they held him in check after that touchdown. I think it was a big wake-up call for this Broncos defense after that one.
Yeah, Paul was one of the first ones in here. In fact, this was the first comment, and I noticed this too. He said, salute at your own risk there, Anthony Richardson. Young punk, just don't know. And yeah, he ran in for his longest run for a touchdown, 28 yards, I think it was, to get the game started and, had us on our toes, but he goes in there and he gives the mile-high salute. You brought it, man. You brought it. And it certainly didn't endear him to the Denver Bronco fans. I'm sure he heard it all game longs. Trevor, this first half, man, ugly. I mean, Bo Nix, I haven't seen Bo Nix look like that since the beginning of the season. I haven't seen him just misreading, not seeing, overthrowing, not in time with his receivers. It just didn't look good. And, somebody brings this up a little bit, and it was Scott. He says, Nix can't do that. But Sutton sure was hot and cold, though, too. Wrap that all up, man, because that first half, man, kind of looked bad, man. It looked like we were not going to be in this game.
Yeah, I mean, you could really kind of point to many different reasons why you weren't in this game. In the first half, I thought the offense just looked bad. I think all around in this game. I know they got a couple touchdowns, later in the game that kind of helped this team push their way into getting a victory in this game, but. Just Bo Nix turned the football over. You had no running game, seemed like in this game. The penalties were starting to become an issue. Yeah, I know that Sutton, he had a couple drops in there, but here's the thing: it starts with the quarterback position. Honestly, I mean, once you get bad quarterback play, it's a trickle down effect. And the same thing if Bo Nix was having success, is a trickle down effect. Cortland
Mm.
Sutton has 100-yard games. You start to see Vele out there. Marvin Mims making plays. When Bo Nix is playing bad, you're going to see the playmakers, Cortland Sutton, some of these other guys start to play bad because they're not getting the football enough. Bo Nix is turning the football over. This offense isn't able to move the football. And so I just think it was a trickle down effect. Multiple areas you can point to where this offense is a concern right now. And in this game, they just weren't playing good football in this one.
Mm.
First half, for sure. But I think just throughout the game and a couple touchdowns definitely helped. But it's still very much so a problem for this team. And I really wish this team could start to have a run game. I think Bo Nix is trying to do too much and trying to force the ball in there. And I think it's been happening not just this game. I think it's been happening the last couple games for this offense. And it's something that he has to clean up. Sean Payton has to clean up. If they want to make a deep playoff run, you have to find a run game.
Yeah, oh, absolutely right, man. It didn't come today. Everyone's been hoping. They've been asking when we go up against teams like the Indianapolis Colts, you think, hey, there's an opportunity, man. This team is bad against the run, man. We'll get one of our guys going, man. It didn't matter who we threw out there. McLaughlin, I know that he went out with a little bit of an injury. We'll talk about injuries, I'm sure, before we get out of here, but because the chat's already talking about it as well. But you know, it just didn't happen. Javante didn't get it going. Estime came in late, and he didn't necessarily get it rolling either. This team is absolutely struggling when it comes to the run game. Where they're not struggling, and the way I really wanted to come in, I kind of got off track, man. I can feel it, man. And I don't know if you can feel it, Trevor. I know our fan base feels it, and that home stadium was absolutely rocking as we took home a 31-13. There's a little bit of mile high magic here, man. There's a little bit of mile high magic that's happening with this team. It's coming up with the plays when you need to, how you need to, however you need to, in order to take wins home. And you know, hats off to just a team win, a team win that this Denver Broncos once again went out there and put together. Phil McLaughlin, I am trying to catch up with some stars on the side, and Phil's dropping some right here. Gotta love the way Drain played, and Benito will be a Pro Bowler. I'll just really quickly, and then I'll pivot to you, Trevor. You can talk about the way these two guys played. What I loved, and the thing that we asked from Nick Benito, right? Especially on a play like that. What is the biggest knock that Nick Benito had coming into the season? You have to make sure you defend the edge. If he would have went ahead and ran after that play and dropped his responsibility as an edge, he would not have been in position to get that interception and run it in. So once again, just next level play by Nick Benito. And yes, I think if he keeps this up, keeps running back touchdowns off of interceptions, yeah, he's going to probably get some Pro Bowl votes. Trevor, take it away, sir.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Benito, the growth. I mean, he's grown into a star, defensively for this team, and it's just, man, this is why though you have to be patient with players. So that's why I caution with Bo Nix, man, be patient with this kid. It's year one in the NFL. He's going to learn from his mistakes. Same thing with Nick Benito, man. If you gave up on Nick Benito, what would you have right now? I mean, that you can't give up on these guys. It takes them a couple years, and different. Players are different how they develop, and you're seeing right now the Broncos were patient with Nick Benito, and it's paying off, and he's starting to become just full force on this defense, and really a guy that opposing offenses are having to kind of game plan against, because not only can he get to the quarterback, but he's also defending at a high level. 2 pick-sixes in 2 straight games. That is huge for Nick Bonito. He's just been playing great football. This defense stepped up when they needed to, and Nick Bonito has been a big part of that. I think that there's a pretty good possibility that he is a Pro Bowler this year, and hats off to him as well.
Yeah, and to piggyback on that, Chris Abrams-Drain. I mean, here's a guy that went out there. He was put out there in position. We saw a little bit of Damari Mathis, but it was Abrams-Drain playing the way I saw and I expected, and I'm glad that it's kind of coming out on the field. It's earlier than we expected for him to be forced out on the field, but man, here's a guy that's not a large corner. He's not gonna tower over anybody out there anytime soon. But it's all about the speed, and you saw it. You saw it when he was able to get after wide receiver after wide receiver and come up with big plays, left, right, and otherwise. Abrams-Drain, I thought in that Monday night game, he kind of got a bad call against him. I thought he was getting a stiff arm down the field, and he was just fighting to try to get that stiff arm off of him, as much as that guy had his arm in his chest. So I love the way he came out there. He played. He didn't let that bother him, that big play from last week. He went in. He was locked in, and Abrams-Drain, absolutely, Phil. Great shout out on the defense. Drain played well. Benito was an easy one, but was one that needed to absolutely be talked about because he's just been on fire and roaring. Got to say hello to a few more friends here in the chat. Patrick Wiltsey coming in all the way over from Hawaii. Our good friend with Lion Coffee, and he's coming in and saying aloha, celebratory coffee time. And yeah, cups up to everybody who's drinking a late night cup of coffee or an evening cup of coffee on our side of the Pacific here, Patrick. But maybe you're getting a late cup of coffee. I guess it happens to be. Our good friend Roy Osborne as well saying, hey there, Horseman. I'm not sure if you want my honest opinion. Roy, they're all welcome. And I'll be honest, like I said to start off the show, I don't know if you heard it, man. I think this was probably one of Bo Nix's worst performances I've seen. And outside of the jumpy feet that he had at the very beginning of the season, by far, this would be the worst game probably in the last, what we're now 14 games in, I'd say in the last 10, 11 games, possibly. Worst performance I've seen from Bo Nix. Did not look good. And special teams and the defense bailed them out. When we talk about maybe the wrap-up of this season at the end, we can't be talking about the way we handled the Colts come the end of the season, at the end of the year, especially when you're looking at a 31-13 score, Trevor. This was not a handling of the Colts like we'd wanted. Even we had one comment about how the Colts offense really went off against us in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it's just not a performance that you want to speak highly of, because it could have easily turned into a different direction. I think if Jonathan Taylor doesn't fumble that football, this might be a loss for Denver. That was such a big game-changing moment in this game, and so I mean it was an ugly game, and you know what's concerning is it's an ugly game for 2 straight games in a row now. It's just like you can't keep going forward with these ugly games. I know that it's a win's a win. I get that. But against good teams like the Chargers, you have the Bengals coming up. I know their defense is bad, but they have an elite offense with Joe Burrow. I think the Chiefs will end up probably sitting their starters. So, but just, man, this is a playoff football. You have to be able to, play above your competition, not play at your competition. And that's the thing in this game, man. If you want a chance to make the playoffs, that's fine. Make the playoffs, but I don't want to be just, make the playoffs and be one and done. I want to make a deep playoff run. I don't want to be satisfied with that. That's why we can't be satisfied with these kind of performances. You're late in the season right now. I know people are banged up. I get that. And you take a win however you can get it. But there's higher expectations that need to be made on this team. And I think that's what Sean Payton as well. That's what he expects. He doesn't just want a winning season. No, he wants to make a deep playoff run. And in order for you to do that, you have to play clean football. This is not clean football. This is games where you will lose against really good teams, because in the football and playoffs, in playoff football, there's a next step. There's a different standard of football in there. So they have to take this game and learn from it. And right now is the time for this team to get better and learn from their mistakes. And it's go time now. It's not go time here in 3 weeks when the playoffs start. It's go time now. No taking, the gas pedal putting the brakes on the season, I should say. You can't put the brakes on the season. Keep that gas pedal going. It's really hard for me to say right now. And continue on, throughout the season and continue to get better on both sides of the ball, because it can't be the defense bailing out the offense all the time. And Bo Nix can't be throwing the football. Whoever mentioned that in the comments, you're absolutely right. And he's done that for 2 straight games now, so it wasn't just this game. Clean. It's just got to be cleaner. That's what it's got to be. And I want this team to make a deep playoff run. I'm not satisfied with just making the playoffs and being one and done.
Fair enough, buddy. Fair enough. I'll take a little bit of. I don't think the defense has won every game, or we're relying that much on the defense. It doesn't feel like the last year. I don't even want to bring up the quarterback from last year. It doesn't feel like last year when we went on the tear of just like amazing turnovers and for like 4 to 5 games. You know what I mean? That's really what made our season. This team has been carried by Bo Nix at times. It has been performing under Bo Nix, but this afternoon, no, this was not a Bo Nix performance. And this is not the type of thing that you can have going on in order to try to perpetuate yourself through the playoffs, right? That and a run game is very very concerning. I'm sorry. Our good friend, we got done having Phil McLaughlin coming in here, dropping 100 stars, talking with us. Now we have our good friend Michael Ronquillo coming in, friend of the show for a very long time. If you don't know him, well, get to love him. Good evening, Keith and Trevor and Gobo Broncos. That's all he's got to say, man. Just excited about this team. Scott's coming in here over on Facebook. He says this game all goes back to Taylor fumbling the ball at the goal line. That's college stuff. Absolutely. That is some college stuff right there. And it does go back to that, man. Like I said, that was one of those swings where, again, it had really nothing to do with Denver, but it swung this game. We go back to, like, again, PS2 going out there and getting that interception versus the Raiders and how that swung that game. This was very similar. This would have been an out of control, trying to get back into a game. All of a sudden, it's right back in your lap. You just have to go back down the field, start putting up some points, and you're right back in this game. It was a huge turn of events when it came to this game in the Broncos' favor. Jody Moncrief, one of the horsemen, coming in and saying Denver can beat any team. This D is balling, and this O is making plays when it counts. And there is something to be said about that, man. This team tends to flex down when they're in the dirt of it, in the grit of it. But again, this is just not something that, as I think you said, Trevor, you go up against a really, really good team. That doesn't work. You can't just sit there and say, "Oh, when needed, we can perform." You need to be out there and you need to be performing every single quarter, every single half, from beginning to end, in order to take down some of these teams if you really want to march towards the Super Bowl.
Yeah, absolutely. And not to mention, they haven't really faced a top defense in a while. So, the Chargers defense is going to be a test for them on Thursday night. And going into the playoffs, the defense is now, they're taking, it's another tick up defensively when you're into the playoffs. So I think that right now it's great that you're beating up on some of these bad defenses and whatnot. But it is a concern with the turnovers, because these are not, let's be honest, this Colts defense isn't the greatest defense out there. So the fact that you weren't able to run the ball on this defense very much, and the interceptions happened, you really offensively couldn't get going in this game. It's got to be a concern when you're going to be facing tougher opponents going forward and much stiffer defenses. So they're getting a lot of cleaning up to do, a lot of film work, and never be satisfied. They just got to continue to grow from here, and it's got to go, above and beyond just making the playoffs. It's got to be making that deep playoff run and trying to figure out this team and try to figure out, the offense, some of the offensive woes. I think this defense has definitely, I don't know about carried. I wouldn't say the word carried, but they've definitely been a big part of why this defense is now has a true winning record and a big chance to, go back to the playoffs and, make a playoff run.
I'm gonna go 2 back-to-back comments. I flashed one of them. It's from one of our horsemen, Mr. Jody Moncrief, but I'm gonna go to this one first. Paul Schaefer coming in and saying, "Cheer up, guys!" Jeez, and Jody's chiming in and saying, "If a horrible performance is 3 TDs, we'll take it." Absolutely right. The thing that I love about this team, honestly, it seems like all the pieces and parts are there, Trevor. I think there's, even though we haven't seen it, this offensive line is more than capable of opening up holes for this run game. These weapons are more than capable of performing for Bo Nix. We've seen it. We've seen Bo Nix be able to perform. We've seen this defense come on as of late and performing at almost an elite level, especially as we, again, kind of been nicked up with some injuries as well in our secondary. So, I mean, everything is out there and capable for this Denver Broncos to put it together. But I think what we're kind of getting at, and I think me and Trevor are really at, and maybe some others, because I think one of our others, it was Roy, that said, you don't want my honest opinion, but we need to see it all put together and feeling like it's gelling in these next 3 games now. We were hoping it was going to be 4 in this run game and get it going against the Indianapolis Colts, but we got like 3 games. We want to be hitting on all cylinders. Feel like we're like, if we're that V8 right now, Trevor, sometimes we're running on 8, sometimes we're running on 5 or 6. And, I'd like to see us on all 8 heading into the playoffs, because then we can really make a run and feel confident about that run against any team. I don't care who we get matched up against, Trevor. If we're running like that, any team.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it just goes to speak volume how how many problems the Colts and Browns have as well. And Denver's done a good job taking advantage of that. You're going to be facing tougher opponents, so you just you can't be overly satisfied with this. And I think Keith, I think you nailed it on the head here. You take a win however you can, satisfied, but you have to be able to grow, and there has to be more. We expect more, because you don't just want a one and done. And if you play this kind of game, that's what we're afraid of, is you're going to be one and done in the playoffs. We want this team to make a deep playoff run. And I know there's maybe some said they can't or whatnot. I think they can if they put it all together. But it's this late in the season and they still haven't put it all together. The run game's still a concern, man. Bo Nix going on the road and throwing the ball 40 times on offense is not ideal. The defense, there's the run defense. Jonathan Taylor had over 100 yards today on the ground, and despite him fumbling in the end zone, and not counting, that would have been even more. So they just have to put it all together. That's what we're trying to say. A win is a win. We're happy about that, of course. And this team has a great chance to make to the playoffs. 91% chance of making the playoffs now, and now in the 4th seed. So again, but we expect more. You always expect more. We want more. It's great to be a Broncos fan right now, and Broncos country. You guys should be excited. This team, this team is putting it together. There's something about this team, young and hungry. Remember when Sean Payton said that at the beginning of the season? That's what he loved about this team, young and hungry. And I think they're going to continue that going forward. And I think there's some growth still to make for this team, but that doesn't mean you can't be satisfied and can't be happy with this team.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not satisfied. I'm not satisfied that Patrick Wilsey is coming in here and giving us no comments, just dropping 100 stars. Patrick, I mean, come on, man. If you want to drop some stars, feel free to say whatever you want. Oh, well, not whatever you want. We're a family friendly show, but feel free to drop some comments. And no, we appreciate it very much, Patrick. Dropping stars, helping us out, and I'm going to get back to it, man. We've had a lot of comments back and forth. But again, some magic happening. Mims was on fire, as Scott was saying. Let's get to it really quickly. I don't want to end this way. We'll end on a high note. But there was even some questions earlier in the posse of whether one Pat Surtain should have been out there playing. Pat Surtain going down late in this game, man. That's huge, man. I just talked about hitting on all cylinders heading into these next 3 games. This could be a huge setback, and might force some players to really, really step up.
Yeah, absolutely. Not only Pat Surtain, DJ Jones, Jilla McLaughlin as well going down, and then on top of Riley Moss being hurt. So the injuries are starting to stack up for this team. It's just going to be how do they respond, and we'll see as the game gets closer on Thursday with the Chargers how these guys end up practicing and what their injury status is. Hopefully, it's nothing serious. Prayers go out to those guys, man, because right now you can't afford for those guys to be going down. You need all your players and everyone to be out there as much as possible. So already banged up, with Riley Moss being out. So it's not ideal, right now with those injuries, but especially your best player on defense, Pat Surtain. But it's a short week. you wonder, Keith, a little bit is this short week going to come back and bite this team in the butt now? Being a short week when before you could have had, a longer period of time for these guys to get healthy. Hopefully not, but remains to be seen going through this week. We shall see how this week ends up turning out with the injuries.
Yeah. I was maybe on the opposite side of it. I saw the vision of maybe doing this because I'm like, well, then you get more rest on the other side, right? And then you get a couple of games down the stretch. Who knows what you're playing for in that last game, if you need to be playing for much at that last game. A lot of questions come in. You could get a lot of rest and get healthy for the playoffs is what I was kind of looking at. Michael Ronquillo just letting us know the Tampa Bay Buccaneers beat the Los Angeles Chargers today 40-17. That helps us out in our standings and hopefully doesn't make them too hungry as we face off against them here on Thursday night. Kenny Kirkpatrick says, good evening of the amazing K&K Sports Show. You got to check out the amazing K Sports Show and all of their amazing podcasts. But he's saying, good evening and congrats on the win. I'm concerned about the defense. If Taylor doesn't make that boneheaded play, he scores, and this may be a different game or a different outcome. And yeah, we touched on that a little bit earlier, and you're absolutely right, man. I think there's not only concern about this defense, but man, that game-changing play was big. Jody, one of the horsemen, since he's not here in person, I'll at least get a couple of comments. He says, I'm not satisfied. I'm saying when you play not your best and still put up 24 on the O and win by double digits, take it. And there is something to be, again, take some satisfaction, Broncos country, man. There's so many times, I think we said this multiple times throughout the season, Trevor. This is a game that the Denver Broncos in the past would not have won. This is a game in the past we would have found a way to lose. The way that we looked in the first half of this game, we would have came out, we would have been flat. They would have put up some points. It would have got away from us. It just feels like that's the case. Different team, different mentality, young and hungry, like you said, Trevor, and ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's definitely some positive and negatives to take away from this game. But we can be concerned and still be happy at the same time. That can coincide, and I think that there's concerns on both sides of the ball. For being honest, I don't think it's just the defense. I think it's the offense as well. They just got to clean it up, and but a win's a win. However, you could take it. I think it speaks volume though when your quarterback doesn't have his best game and you're still able to beat a team in double digits. That does show, I think, something for this team, and they found a way to win. And young and hungry, man. This team's young and hungry, and there's something to be said about that. And that this team was able to rally, around themselves and not get down too much, and end up picking up each other, and still were able to get the win. So the culture of this team has been tested this season at times, and it showed, in a big way. They've stuck together, and a true team win today. And very excited for the future of this Broncos team, not only this season but beyond the season.
Patrick has one question. He says, question is that a Rocket Man hat? He says, I like it, and where can we pick one up? You get to do a little sponsorship plug for a non-sponsor. What do you got for us, Trevor?
Yeah. I will discuss it with Patrick off the air, but no, this is it's a hat I've been wearing for a little bit. It's maybe a good luck hat because the Broncos have been winning this season, so kind of decided to switch it up a little bit. But yeah, I'll definitely be in touch with Patrick and anybody who's interested.
Very good. He's gonna keep a special source all hidden to yourself. If anybody knows in the chat, I guess we can't get away from that. You not dropping it in there. Trevor, we're wrapping up on a 30-minute show. It just feels good. Feels good to be a Denver Bronco, man. We've been podcasting now for a few years. It's tough when it comes to the end of the season and, things are dismal, or you're just hoping and, praying and holding on to that thread of a chance, of making the playoffs come this time of year. And we're not there, man. as many put it, we're now in the driver's seat. Really got like a 90% chance. We go and we take down the Chargers, who just lost today. It's lights out at that point, and we're cruising through those next couple of games. Really, just talking about positionings and seeding, which I can't even fathom. I mean, my mind can't even wrap around podcasting about that, Trevor. I haven't podcasted about seeding in the playoffs yet. So I'm looking forward to things like that. I'm going to end with this. Two things. We're sponsored by the amazing Morgan Trinkets. Morgan Trinkets is your headquarters for Southwest Jewelry, Southwest Pottery, and Estate Gold at wholesale prices. 10, 14, 18 karat gold. Is that right? If I remember right. Sterling silver. You guys got to check out Morgan Trinkets on Etsy. Morgan Trinkets Co. is the way you find it. Morgan Trinkets Co. over on Etsy. But they're a fantastic sponsor. Love to have you check them out. I might actually have 3. Well, I'll have one more after this. Just one more. And that's I'll go back to it, Trevor. There's a little bit of magic, man. A little bit of mile-high magic. Man, we've seen it. It's following this team. Great things have been happening when it needs to happen. I'm excited about the magic. We talk about 3 phases of the game. Mile-high magic is the 4th, in my opinion, man. We're seeing it on full display. This team just has something going. Can't wait to see what's to come. Trevor, we need to wrap up, get out of here. It's been a great 30 minutes. Enjoyed it with all the posse, man. I'll say some more goodbyes before we get out of here, but why don't you get in some as well?
Yeah, I just want to first Paul's comment here. Goal hat, buy a Bronco hat, bro. I mean, Paul, I got these signs back here, Bronco signs and whatnot. So, and this is orange too. So, I mean, it's not like it's a blue or anything like that. A light blue. So it's non-Bronco colors. So, no, I'm always supporting the Broncos and love what they do. This is a team, I'm passionate about, and I want to see them be successful, and so, no, I mean, we really appreciate you all for being here tonight. Thank you for the support Friday night as well with me and Jody and Keith. It's great to have you back as always.
Thanks,
everybody should be excited. I mean, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, this team has a great chance to make the playoffs. 91% chance to make the playoffs. This was a playoff caliber game today. You needed to win this game if you wanted to be a playoff team, and they did that, and they did that double digits. It didn't matter how they did it. They did it. It was ugly at times, but they did it. Everybody should be excited in Broncos country, guys. Boys and girls, you guys deserve this. This is a team that's destined to go to the playoffs. And we weren't, at the beginning of the season, we weren't saying that. I don't think many people were saying that. Now, this is why you play the games. Now, you're saying that, and you're confident in saying that. So that's something to be proud about. But thank you to everybody just for being amazing. And just the support just means a ton to us. And, can't wait to break the Chargers game down here this next week and see you guys next time. But I hope everybody has a great rest of their weekend. Enjoy it, guys. This is for you. This is the playoffs. The Broncos making the playoffs. This is for Broncos country. So enjoy it. Be safe. Have a great rest of your weekend. Enjoy football, and we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, man, this was a fantastic. Just to continue to watch this march, continue to watch this team do what they do, and continue to watch all of you come in here every single episode, man. We go live every Tuesday and Friday, 7:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Daylight time it is now. Mountain Daylight Time, wherever you're at. And it's going to be a crazy week, man, because we're going to be really not wrapping up this game much. We might do a little bit of wrap up on it, but we got to be talking, prepping for the Thursday night football, man. So Tuesday is going to be all about the Chargers as well, and then our Friday, well, that's going to be a post game, man. So it's going to be a little bit wild over these next couple of podcasts, man. Make sure you're liking, sharing, subscribing so that you're along with us every single step of the way. Believe me, every single thumbs up, that helps, man. That helps you reach out to every single Broncos country member out there, and we appreciate it. The stars that we're given this evening, Phil, thank you. Michael Ronquillo, thank you. Patrick Wiltsey, thank you very much for jumping in here and being a part of the show. Man, we got a winning team. We got a little mile high magic. We got the Chargers coming up, and we got a playoff football team like 95%. Let's go out there. Let's get it done. Can't wait to be back with all of you and probably you, Trevor, on Tuesday. Until then, we got to get out of here like we always do. Make sure you keep your feet, or if you want, your boots in the stirrups, your guns in your holsters, and the Denver Broncos in your heart. Till next time, we're out of here. Mile High Salute. Goodbye.